Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook, got Coach Dub, got Justin Wells. It's another edition of Recruiting Intel popping in just a little bit earlier than normal, but we got the same great info. Make sure that you like this video and subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Make sure to head to InsideTexas.com. You can get a premium subscription for $1 per week. So if you do that, you get to go all the way from now, February 2025, through spring practice, through spring official visits, the summer camps, summer decisions, training camp in the season, all that, all the way to when the Longhorns make a run, we hope, to the national championship. But Steve Sarkisian is recruiting the type of players that he wants to make a continual number of runs over the course of the next couple seasons. And a lot of them, Justin, were in Melissa on Sunday as part of a camp Under Armour puts on. These camps, they can be the underwear Olympics. They can be a good place to get data on whether kids are, considering a certain visit, a certain school. You can verify whether the kid who says he's 5'11" is actually 5'8". You can see if the kid who says he runs a 4.3 actually runs a 4.7. And you get to compare some of these guys against each other. But what were some of the big takeaways as far as talking to Texas targets in Melissa on Sunday?
Yeah, well, the big news surrounds the big boys, the offense and defensive line, and Charlie was all over those guys. And so to me, those were the biggest takeaways, because some of the biggest targets Texas has on their board were offensive and defensive linemen, especially the offensive tackles that were there. And so I'm going to let Charlie knock that one out. But for me, it was really catching up with some running backs, talking a little bit of post to Shard choice stuff, KJ Edwards and those guys, and really getting a good look at some 2027s where Texas has done a tremendous job laying down the foundation. Guys like Peyton Houston and Braylon Williams and Zane Rowe. And I mean, there was a good chunk of those guys. But to me, the biggest takeaway was Felix Ojo, was his dominance. I mean, he's every bit as big as we anticipated. He is very filled out. And then on another note, there were a handful of guys we really wanted to see that didn't make it. And I think that's noteworthy. Max Wright dealing with the flu, Texas commit. I wanted to see him compete. Caden Finley didn't make it. John Turntine didn't make it. Javian Osborne didn't make it. A handful of other ones. Colton Nussmeyer had to have basketball practice. He didn't make it. And so there were some guys there that we wanted to ask a few questions on specifics. But I'm gonna zone read this thing to Charlie, because he was the one that got to see the big boys in the trenches. And to me, that's where the talent was concentrated on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. I love the trenches. I thought I was going to see a little bit of the remake of the Canada versus USA hockey fight for a while, because the offensive line and defensive line, like, they got after it. Those guys were barking at each other, really, really competing. Like Justin said, Felix Ojo had an amazing day. Ended up getting MVP honors, getting a game invite to Under Armour games. So he did a really, really great job. I thought he looked good going through drills. I really loved him and Zayden Crimpin. They were first in line in every single drill. They had a little bit of leadership. You can kind of show, hey, we stand out above the rest. And those guys jumped at the bit to be first in line and then line up and go first when it's time for one-on-ones. But the one thing I really loved about it, those guys didn't say, hey, I'm a tackle, I'm a guard. They played different positions during the camp and competed. Ojo got in right guard a couple of times and went at guys. And I love to see it, because he just wanted to compete and go against the best.
Yeah.
Defensive lineman out of Oklahoma who ended up winning MVP. Ojo said, let me slide in right guard and go against him, because he was dominating everybody else. And Ojo beat him. So just to see that kind of competitive spirit from him, you love to see it from a kid who everybody says a 5-star. He actually showed it on Sunday, and I loved it. I just loved it, every bit of it.
When it comes to Ojo, it sounds like Texas is obviously strongly in the mix, and Kyle Flood tells him a lot of what he likes to hear. But who are some of the other schools? What are some other schools that are contending with the Longhorns for Ojo?
Yeah, you got a host of schools, mainly, Ohio State's in its ear heavily. I know they just had a coaching change, so that's something to pay attention to. But you also have Michigan. I mean, pretty much everybody. I know he just put out his top 6, I want to say maybe a week ago. And so he said he wants to focus on those schools only. He's kind of let everybody else know these are the 6 schools I'm really going to focus on. And so from going forward from there, he's really, really focused on that. And he's just trying to get through his official visits and ways to make a decision after that. Also, have to catch up with his dad, honestly, who also said he would love for his son to stay close to home so his younger siblings can see him play. I think that's huge. And he loved Coach Flood. He feels like Coach Flood is tied to the hip of Coach Sark, and that's a consistency in the coaching staff is really, really huge and something he's paying attention to.
Justin, anything on Ojo from the Texas perspective?
Only that he remains, on the top of the board. Him and John Turntine are the two top guys. Texas is going out of state for a handful of guys, but understand those are secondary guys. When you see Texas go to California and to Georgia and to Mississippi and to Florida for some of these offensive line targets, they're behind Crimpin. They're behind Ojo. They're behind Turntine. Those are called secondary targets. Those are contingency plans. And I think some teams are going to use the way Texas is recruiting nationally against them in state. I can guarantee you they're going to get in Ojo's ear and Turntine's ear and those guys and kind of remind them of why are they going here and why are they going there and that sort of thing. When it really is Kyle Flood and the staff just being thorough. They're just making sure they can't go another cycle without a tackle. So they're going to have to get 3. So you're going to see probably 8 or 9 take official visits just so they can make sure they get the best 3 out of that group. And I think with Ojo, they have done a tremendous job, especially since junior day, of convincing him that he is the priority, that he has got to be in this class. And I think that's the thing that really stands out. I think that's why Texas is probably a quiet leader in this recruitment. Is it anywhere near close to done? No. Charlie can vouch for that. Right. But Texas, I think, has the best footing right now. Mm-hmm. They just got to stay the course the way Sark and those guys do over the course of the year.
One of the things that is worth tracking here is, Texas already has a commitment from Max Wright. Obviously, they're after John Turntine, Felix Ojo, Zayden Crimpin. We've mentioned plenty. But one of the other ones that was there, Charlie, someone you're familiar with, is Drew Evers. And a little bit different style, but someone that Texas is still familiar with, but maybe has a little bit of work to do as well.
Yeah, when naming his official visits, teams he's working with, setting up dates, he's starting to work with like A&M, to Michigan, Ohio State. He did mention Texas, I get one, but you're kind of behind the others. So just listen to his conversation, just kind of piece together where Texas fits in the puzzle. But I think if Texas makes a push, he would definitely look at Texas. And I think he's a versatile guy who said he's open to playing any position, all the way to center, right? He even played a little center during the camp this past Sunday. So I think if Texas really pushes for him and makes him a priority, I feel like they can be able to contender in his recruitment, just about where he really fits. And with so many guys in this class, like you only can take so many. So it just kind of depends on where he fits in the end.
Justin, any of the other big guys on offense or defense stand out with news or notes or their play or anything like that?
Yeah, there were a handful of guys. Booby Feaster, he looked legit. The newly crowned 2026 reclassification. He looked good. He looked solid. He's 6'1.5". I think he weighed about 180 pounds. He looked good. Caught the ball away from his body. Everything's really smooth with him. Interesting enough, he had a connection in the pass game with Peyton Houston, the Texas quarterback offer from 2027 out of Evangel Christian in Shreveport. He was there. They had kind of a little bit of a connection there. And so I thought he stood out. I thought KJ Edwards looked like $1 million. There's a reason he's a top 5 tailback in the country. There's a reason he's going to set up an official visit to Texas at some point. I think that's going to happen probably early June is when I'm anticipating that one to happen. But A&M and SMU are the 2 schools to watch there. Talon Mayo, I always love watching that kid play. I was a little curious to see him since he's filled out to 6 foot. He is a corner. You're not moving him to safety. You're not moving him around. He is definitely a corner. He can turn his hips for that size. I thought he played well. Jonathan Meredith, I really liked him. I thought that's a guy Charlie and I probably should have talked to more. I thought the Euless Trinity DB, believe 2027, was fantastic in coverage. Mm-hmm. He did well in drills, but when the bullets were flying is when that guy was actually putting on a show. I want to say he even had a pick. And so those guys kind of stood out as well. Again, there were some really big names we were hoping to see that weren't there, but there's always a group of guys that to kind of get close to with 2026, which we've already done. The biggest takeaway was 2027. Texas not only has a wonderful foundation in 26, and they're already operating at a high level there. It's this next class. It's the 2027s. It's the Braylon Williams of the group. That's a 30 offer guy already as a sophomore, and he might be the most naturally inside linebacker of the entire group. And so a couple other takeaways. DeQuivis Beck, I'm thinking A&M is probably leading that one. I feel like Texas is kind of backing off that one as well. Handful of other ones. We got a ton at InsideTexas.com. Come see us.
We'll get a little bit to 27 and some of the implications in a little bit. I think this was one of the first opportunities that both of you guys had to talk to recruits after Tashard Choice made his decision to go to the Detroit Lions. I know you mentioned KJ Edwards was there. There were a few like Javian Osborne who were not there, but that's in Tashard Choice. That's someone who has his hand, unfortunately, in a lot of different recruitments. What were some of the feedback, Justin, that you got from guys about Tashard Choice leaving?
Hey, my first question to KJ was, how much is Coach Choice leaving Texas going to affect your decision? And he said, look, this guy loved Coach Choice, but he said, not very much. He said, I love Coach Choice, but Texas is Texas. They're going to hire a really good running back coach. Sark is the guy calling the plays. I'm looking at the scheme, not just the position coach. He had some really good answers. And so KJ is one of those that I think now that Choice is out, these out-of-state guys that Choice had been going after, Amari Latimer, Xavier Crowell, those types, those are off the board. And KJ Edwards is still there with Javian Osborne. Those two aren't going to stop. Sark is not going to let anyone else jump above Javian Osborne. I think that's going to be the most team-oriented recruitment we see this summer. But KJ was, and that was the main takeaway. He said, look, I love Coach Choice. All these guys do. I've yet to meet a recruit that said one thing negative about Tashard. But he said, Texas is bigger than that. Texas is going to continue to be successful. He says he has confidence that Sark's going to hire a really good running back coach, and they're going to pick it up where they left off. And that's why there's no change there. Look, Texas and Texas A&M are battling for KJ right now. Is the sooner Texas gets a running back coach and gets that relationship connected, the better. And SMU is picking up the rear at third, and SMU looks really good too. I could see them actually splitting the baby if something didn't work out between the Horns and Aggies. But post-Tashard Choice, kids are a little shook, but they understand it's a bigger decision. And don't forget too, and we mentioned this at Inside Texas, Tashard had told some of these recruits in 2026 that he was likely going to the NFL. This was not news to Javian Osborne and that crew and some of those other guys. And so I think they were also mentally prepared for what happened.
Coach, I know this is kind of putting you on the spot, but like Justin said, guys like Xavier Crowell, Amari Latimer, guys that connected with Choice, maybe not they connected with Texas because of Choice, and that's just how recruiting is. Do you maybe see, no matter who the hire is for Texas at running back coach, maybe seeing them look a little bit more in-state at some of the options that maybe aren't as familiar to Texas fans right now?
Really depends on who the coach is that comes in. He's going to want his guys he's already recruiting, whatever previous school he has relationships with. Hey, come on, Texas. I still want you, right? It doesn't matter the logo. I want you here where I'm coaching at. And then he'll have to get out and meet some of the kids out in the state and make relationship with the high school coaches here and see what guys are out there and then rank them from there and create his own board, right? And then kind of just go off any coach. If they're smart, just kind of follow Choice's path of who he recruited, because he never pretty much missed. Everybody he recruited was good. And just follow that trend. And I know these coaches talk to each other, so they know what guys are out there. They know what running backs are out there. Like Jeffrey said, this is Texas at the end of the day. So you're going to get a great coach, and kids are still on to play for Texas because it's Texas. So, yeah, I'm not really worried about it. But it's just the thing. Some kids really have a relationship with a coach, and it matters, right? Especially it really does matter, especially if you come from out of state. It matters more than anything.
Yeah.
Before we keep going, got to show some love to our sponsor. We'll start with Andre the Lawyer.
This video is brought to you by Andre the Lawyer. If you're injured, trust the team that secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans with their injury case. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, and wrongful deaths. Don't let insurance tell you what your claim is worth. Hire Andre the lawyer to fight for you. Principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait and call Andre the lawyer today at 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. The contact information is in the description.
Thank you to Andre. Talked a lot about 2026. We had a lot of feedback from 2026 guys, and we're doing this at 1:15 right now on Tuesday afternoon. We're going to have some more 2026 reaction, including from some of the guys we've been talking about. But let's move on a little bit to 2027. And at this point, I know we talked a little bit about some positions, but quarterback is, as we mentioned, coming into focus right now. Texas has 2 offers out at quarterback in the 2027 class. One committed to Ohio State. The other is currently uncommitted, and that's Peyton Houston, as Justin mentioned, from Shreveport Evangel Christian. He was there, and he continues to show interest in the Longhorns, sounds like.
Yeah, Texas is squarely in the mix there. Texas, LSU, naturally, in-state school, Miami, Oklahoma, Florida State. There's a lot of teams that really like Peyton, and Peyton looked good. He was one of the best quarterbacks there. I mean, he has such a compact delivery. Like, it's boom, boom, boom. Like, there's no wasted energy at all. I think he's probably 5'10", maybe 5'11". He's got a little bit of growing to do. But the biggest takeaway for me was not just that Texas is in a great spot for Peyton Houston, who's one of the most delightful kids you will ever talk to or interview, but also it's kind of the jockeying for position in 2027 quarterbacks. Colton Nussmeier, Flower Mound Marcus, big lefty, is a kid that Texas really likes. Gunnar Rivers out of Alabama. That's another son of Phillip Rivers. That's another quarterback Texas really, really likes in 2027. And we got to know another guy, Kavian Bryant.
Before we get there, let's keep going with Houston and see, because we'll talk a lot about Bryant in just a second, because you had a lot there. But Houston, as far as having the only offer, does that put him ahead of other guys at this point, or do we see this process maybe play out a little bit more in the spring?
I don't think he's ahead of the other guys. I think this is a process that plays out. I really do. Peyton looked tremendous last June with Brady Edmonds throwing during June camp. Look phenomenal and earn the offer. But right now, I think the board can change, and I think he's still up there near the top. But I think the guys that I was mentioning are there too. They're right up there. I don't know if there's a certain order just because one has an offer and the other doesn't. I do know that a handful of those guys, once they get on campus, well, that's when an offer could happen. But I'll let you take it away.
Real quick because I got that guy queued up and I'm ready to watch him as well. But Coach, when you're thinking about quarterbacks and you're recruiting sophomores, you just have to kind of go with what they want at this point, especially if you have to make sure your timeline meets theirs in order to make your 2027 class have the Pied Piper, the signal caller that you want to have to help build a class.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think something Coach Sark does a really great job of is identifying who his guys are. And he doesn't recruit many. So if you're in that circle, he's identified something that or qualities in you to say, hey, you can lead and run this offense when you get to Texas. So I think once you identify the guys, you kind of key in on them and just say, hey, you recruit them and you make sure that they feel like they're a priority. Hey, you're our guy in this class. If you commit to us, you're our guy. I need you to help start building this class. And most quarterbacks come from a leadership standpoint. They understand that you got to build guys around them. You can't do anything with it if you don't have receivers. You don't have anybody protecting you. So a lot of quarterbacks actually get it. And I'm starting to see a lot of younger guys actually understand it. You look at Diabell and what he's doing. He understands it's going to take a team around him to do well. So I think most quarterbacks get it. I think Coach Stark and the staff do a great job of identifying the guys that they want. And you kind of just start building your class early because the quarterback is the captain. And I think once you got the captain, everything else is downhill.
All right, Justin, now we can go on about him. Kavian Bryant, Palestine Westwood, not a school that you mentioned known for tremendous football success up in East Texas. But this guy's not only doing it on the football field, he's doing it on the basketball court as well. He's one of the top prospects in both sports in his class in 2027.
Yeah, so we see tons of recruits every year, and some of those guys want to play two sports in college, and some of them are good enough to potentially get into that conversation of being able to do two of them at the same time. But realistically, Charlie, let them know you're not usually going to play two sports at the Division I level. It's just not normal. You're not usually Ronald Curry, okay? It's just usually not in the cards, except for Kavian Bryant. I think we finally come across a kid that can do either one, and he honestly wants to try to do both. And Florida State is selling him on being a point guard in basketball and being a quarterback in football. And they had a presentation a couple weekends ago for him with Charlie Ward. And that's exactly how they envision this guy. And you think it's hyperbole, but I'm telling you, the tape does not lie. This kid is every bit of 6'2.5", 180, 185 pounds. His dad was a D1 basketball player. He is 6'6". He is not done growing. Kavian Bryant is wide open to playing two sports, and he's interested in it at a Texas level. Now, the Longhorns have already offered him in basketball. There's your first sign. I can't remember covering a kid that Texas offered in both sports, football and basketball. I just can't remember the last time we saw that. So he has the basketball offer. He actually visited a couple months ago, loves Rodney Terry, loved the environment, liked the fan base, loved the Moody Center. They're going to be in the mix. He's got some real legit basketball offers. But he also wants to earn that quarterback offer. And you got a laundry list of schools that have already jumped in the mix, from Michigan, Oklahoma State, Arizona State, Texas Tech, Cal. He's got a ton that have jumped in from that side of the ball as well. I asked him about Texas. A.J. Milwee actually came to see him last month. They got to watch him throw for a little bit. And he was in basketball season, so he hadn't really thrown in a while. And Millie loved him. Actually told him that they would be back in the spring and that they're inviting him to camp in June. That's what I set up about Peyton Houston and Edmonds from last year. Kavian Bryant flat out told me he's going to camp at Texas in June. He's going to be the best quarterback there, and he's going to earn the offer. That's his mindset. This is a 15-year-old sophomore in a small East Texas school that has the opportunity to actually play two sports. I find that fascinating because it's so hard to find that. His highlights on both sides are absolutely ridiculous. I've had a couple of people ask me, what sport do you think he's best at? I would have said basketball until Sunday. I saw him throw the football with as much ease. You know, he reminded me of throwing the football? Jelani McDonald. I don't know if people remember watching Jelani McDonald. He threw that pigskin like he's done it his whole life. And I see some of that in Kavian, except Kavian's is a little bit more fluid, a little bit more long, and he's probably not as the athlete that McDonald is. Either way, this kid is fun to watch. Can't wait to see him in the hardwood. Can't wait to go see him on the gridiron. He'll be in Austin in June to try to camp and try to earn that offer. If Texas offers him in football, this recruitment is about to take off because he's already pretty known in the country as a quarterback prospect. His offers are going to double in the next 6 months. 6 to 10 months, his offers will absolutely double. This kid is special, and I like knowing that Texas has a little side eye on him, paying attention peripherally the whole time.
Yeah, this is my first time watching his highlights in earnest, and I'm extremely impressed. It's pretty dang good. Who, off the top of y'all's head, is there? The first one that comes to mind is, what is it, Martellus Bennett, right? Anybody else actually do the basketball, football double dip successfully?
Did Bennett play a year at A&M?
I think he played some.
He did. Yeah. He did. And remember, Tyus Bowser at Houston got to play edge and small forward for 3 weeks.
You got Julius Peppers. Donovan McNabb suited up with Syracuse quite a bit on the basketball team. You got some others, but it's not many.
Ronald Curry is the one that I think of because Ronald Curry started in both. That's the rarity. It's not that you play both. It's when you start in both. That's the old North Carolina point guard, quarterback, number one player in the country back in that day. Did Jonah Williams get a baseball offer?
Yeah, he's on the team.
Yeah, he's on the baseball team, Hunter. That's good. That's good stuff. But yeah, I see a guy that could play both levels. It's just amazing to me when kids can do both. And I'm always hesitant thinking, come on, guys, you realize how difficult. You're like the less than 1% of prospects in the country that can actually pull that off. And this joker can pull it off. He's not done growing, fellas. His dad, I talked to his dad for half an hour on Sunday. He's every bit of 6'6". This kid keeps growing. And here's another thing. Westwood has had no success in athletics. Football, they've been killing it since Kavian's been the starting quarterback his freshman year. Basketball, they're killing it since Kavian's been the starting point guard his freshman year.
Yeah. With NIL now, I understand that this kid, if he's able to do both or even kind of look like he does both.
Okay, yeah.
He's gonna be a star. But I also wonder about, is he lottery good? Like, does he have the potential to be lottery good, or does he have what's his better potential? And it's really tough to say for a sophomore in high school. Is his better potential to be a first round pick at quarterback, or to maybe go in the lottery in the NBA?
Man, it's too early to tell, but I would lean towards basketball. I would lean towards him being more of a lottery pick in basketball right now than I would in football. And I'm not knocking the kid. I'm just right now, just because I've seen what he does in basketball. Football, it's so much fun. In basketball, it's so easy for him. He is so fluid. Any kid that's almost 6'3", that can handle the ball like he can score, can dish, can shoot from 25, 28 feet. Like, the kid is different. Westwood didn't win a thing till this joker showed up on campus. Now they're a potential state champion run right now in basketball. They played tonight against Rogers in Corsicana, as a matter of fact. And so right now I'm saying basketball. But you give that kid 2 more inches and another year of football and another year of offers and another year of camps and another year of development, I might change my answer.
Okay, I'm going to say something that might be crazy. Athletically, he is not the same person as who I'm about to say. But looking at how he throws and handles the football, I kind of see how he looks throwing the football. It kind of looks like Kyler.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
I can see that.
Yeah.
Compact, starts right here, boom. And it's just it's short arm, but still firm.
Yeah. That's actually
That's really good.
And Kyler's looked like that since he was, 5'6" at Allen.
Right. And I'm pretty sure, Kavian was 5'6" in probably 4th grade. So maybe that's from the growth from him getting taller, because he's already grown 1.5 inches in the last year.
This is all one highlight tape, too. We're 8 minutes into a 17.5-minute highlight tape.
Well, I mean, I think he had almost 50-something touchdowns, 4,000 yards as a 15-year-old.
Oh, my God.
And it's him. There's not a whole lot left there in Westwood. They're doing a great job building up that program. I love one of the coaches there, Tyrell Jenkins, former pitcher, major league pitcher, went to Henderson High School. He's one of the coaches there. They're doing a great job building that program. But, man, there's not a lot of guys around him. He's helping those guys get better. He's just a special, special kid. And we really got to see that come to fruition on Sunday.
I'd like to see a full game of his, but just some of these plays and throws is really
he snaps. It's you know what reminds me a little bit? Michael Vick used to throw it kind of like that with a quick snap. It was like he was throwing a dart, literally throwing a dart. And I think he's got some stuff to work on in his mechanics.
Yeah,
but the ball comes out so effortlessly. It's easy for him, and I think that's part of his athleticism, and I think that's part of his growth as a quarterback.
They're 4A, right?
3A.
They're 3A? Man, why are they a 2 high school town?
Great question. I guarantee you Palestine High does not like Westwood in that town right now. For 20 or 30 years, they were cool with it. And I don't think they're liking it now.
That's not a UIL, PVIL thing either. That's always been a 2 high school town, apparently.
It has, and you've been through Palestine plenty of times. I have. It's the loop. That's essentially what Palestine is. It's the loop. And it's a great town. It really is. Too high. Can you imagine if they consolidated those two high schools? Now, that's a 5A school. That's kind of probably like Jasper. They probably compete. They get you some down in the mud athletes.
It looks like Henderson, probably. Kind of that type of thing.
really, it would be. It'd be a bigger school, but this is how they've sorted it out. I'm not going to go into the school district and complaining about zoning. All I know is I love that Westwood is finally having some success, and it's because Kavian Bryant has put them on the map. Hey, he's got a little brother, 8th grade, might be a better scorer. I don't know if he's a better quarterback, but he might be a better scorer in basketball. These kids, listen, their dad is a ball player. He's the basketball coach at Westwood, okay? We actually learned this yesterday. Him and I both played at the same college when we started, at Panola Junior College in Carthage, Texas. I started with Coach Bailey. I believe he started with Coach Scott Monarch. And so that was – we had some fun with this conversation kind of going back. He's an East Texas guy. He's actually from Carthage. I said, man, how is Kavian not at Carthage High School? Like, how does that work? And you know what he told me? He said, Scott Surratt's got his quarterback. He doesn't need us. He's got his quarterback. And he's right. Yeah. He's got Jet Surratt. If Jet Surratt's not the quarterback at Carthage, I think Kavian Bryant is.
Be there pretty quick. I think last thing to go with is one from our guy, Williams David. Got to go with this one. Charlie, I'm sending it your way. Williams David's got an 8-mile run, but he wants to know how important Jalen Lott is for Texas in this 2026 recruiting class.
The man with the same last name as me, he's very, very important. I consider him maybe number one DB probably in this class. Nobody's like him. Look, I know people may jump at me for saying this, but like everybody saw what Travis Hunter can do. You're probably looking at the next who can play offense and defense. He's special. Jalen Lott is special on offense. You put him in receiver, you put him at DB. Whatever he is, he's getting on the field whenever he gets to college. I think he's a phenomenal kid, mentally really cerebral. Dad, Hall of Fame at Texas. Mom ran track at Texas. Like, you got an all-around good kid who can just play and understands the game at a high level. He's super important to this 2026 class because he solidifies a guy that you can put on an island at corner and say, all right, worry about the rest of the defense. I got it.
Playing 10-on-10 on defense is a little bit easier than playing 11-on-11, surprisingly enough. And if he can do that, that's impressive. No shortage of hyperbole here today. Talking Kyler Murray.
We got Ronald Curry talk, Travis Hunter, Michael Vick. It's all going down in Austin, baby.
Yeah. So it's always fun to talk like that. But, hey, comparisons are comparisons. That's what makes it fun. So thank you for watching. Make sure that if you're here, you like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you're on podcast, listening to us later, go ahead and give us a 5-star rating and review wherever you are listening. Of course, head to InsideTexas.com. Again, sign up, get $1 for every what you pay, with just $1 per week, and you will be with us all the way through this time next year after a lengthy playoff run. So, Justin, thank you so much. Charlie, thank you. We'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com.